if you would imagine like the most comfortable you've ever been in your life, the most comfortable time you've ever had in your experience as a human being, that is the space of being that couple at the center. I felt loved, affirmed, held, challenged, and at the same time, I was feeling that from a bunch of folks. I was also sharing that with the person that I was most caring about in the world. So it was like, oh, please, don't have this stop. I don't want this to stop. This could just go on.
My name's Hannah Mann. I live in West Philly. And I got married on May 26th, 2018 in a Quaker wedding.
My name is Eric Peterson. I live in West Philly. And I got married on May 26th, 2018. We had a Quaker wedding.
So we got married on September 21st, a few years ago, 2013. Here in Richmond, Virginia at the Richmond Friends meeting, and I think there were probably just over 100 people.
A little over 100 people in attendance.
Yeah.
We were married on July 2nd, 1977. Our wedding day, it was at Stephanie's dad's church. She's a preacher's kid.
We got married in the worship room at the Ray Street Meeting House at Central Philadelphia Monthly Meeting on May 26, 2001.
In the fall of 1991, we decided we wanted to commit to each other formally at our Richmond Friends meeting, our home, and we wrote a letter to our families, and that stating that our oversight committee and we decided together to commit to each other on July 4th, 1992, at our spiritual home, the Richmond Friends meeting.
I think she said it all. The simplicity of it really spoke to me. You know, you don't have to have a big reception. You don't have to decorate a huge hall. Those kind of things I appreciated. But the heart of what we Quakers do in a marriage, in a memorial service, is we speak inspired by God out of the silence.
I think there are a lot of different things that can set a Quaker wedding apart. The thing that is most exciting to me is that there's nobody in charge. There's a Quaker couple is married by themselves and the whole community gathered there together. There's nobody saying, I declare you spouses.
As we invited our friends and family to the ceremony, Ruth sent links to information so that they would understand a little bit of what was going on. I talked to some folks as they were reading it, and they were really struggling to understand how this was going to be a ceremony without someone leading the ceremony. I think 90%, I would guess, of our attendees had no idea, had never experienced anything like it.
We also, when we sent out the invitations for people who are not Quakers, we got a little brochure that talks about Quaker weddings so that they could have some idea of what was going to happen. In addition to the explanation that happens from the person who is care of meeting during the wedding.
We each wrote our parents
And families.
a letter trying to explain what we wanted to do, where we wanted to do it, how the Quakers fit in, and sent it around Thanksgiving time, expecting that we were going to have our wedding all the way around in July. So we thought we would give them lots of time to get used to the idea.
We had kind of an unorthodox ceremony, I think. We had a lot of people ask us. We selected people from our families to ask us questions. We didn't know what these questions would be. And we did that in order to get people sort of bought into the feeling of what our marriage was like for us.
Vanessa's uncle was able to be here and have his family here, and one of the things that they brought to it was African drumming, as at the sort of beginning of the service, or the sort of during people sort of entering the worship space. And so we were outside of the worship space before the meeting, and in worship and preparation, and we could hear the sound of drums.
For me, it was a part of my African American heritage, and being able to have the drums call, because that's a part of what drums are used for, is communication. So it was like having the drums calling the community together to be here to help us celebrate our marriage.
One of the things we did was we greeted people at the door, which people were a little startled by. Don't you know it's bad luck for the groom and bride to see each other? Nah, we don't believe that. And so there was a sense of welcoming people in and of the gathering of our community.
I felt kind of awestruck, felt monumental, very important, to have. It was a large turnout. A lot of our friends from the gay community came. Many people from Friends Meeting came.
I was super nervous. I was so nervous. I mean, I just, the details, was it going to work? My parents sitting over there, I was like, holy cow. I could hardly breathe. I felt like I was very, very nervous.
I mean, I think this probably happens across religious traditions, but walking into that room of gathered people, that was when I first caught my breath. And settling into that worship, all of these people are thinking of you together as a couple and praying for you and hoping their biggest hopes for you.
What I've noticed in meeting, and it's true for me, is I shuffle my feet and get them ready before I am ready to stand. And out of the corner of my eye over here, I caught my father shuffling his feet. And he had been the one in the family who was hardest to get on board. And he stood and he said, well, as the self-appointed head of the Stewart clan, I want to say God bless. And that just meant everything to me.
I think it changes something. I think that meeting for worship changed something in our relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say our wedding changed my life. That moment when everyone's paying attention to you and giving you their full love, I think it made me more confident in myself. All these people are in my corner.
The weeks after the wedding, people ask you, so how was it? How was the ceremony? This and that. And your line was, you should really do this more often. Don't wait until you die to get your whole community together to talk about you, because
that's the only time I've really seen anything quite like this is at a funeral. And it's always a shame that you take after they're gone, and and everyone wants to talk about what that person meant to their lives, but to have these people stand up and speak on that type of level, it was a lot of energy. I got a lot of energy from that, and a lot of strength to the relationship.
I'm here inside Chestnut Hill Friends Meeting in Chestnut Hill, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, just to say thank you for watching this QuakerSpeak video. We release a new video every Thursday, and we'd like to thank Chestnut Hill Meeting for sponsoring this one. Chestnut Hill Friends Meeting is a serene space for weddings and for weekly Quaker worship. All are welcome. You can check the meeting website for wedding rental details. Thanks again for watching, and have a great Thursday.